And welcome to another edition of Carnivore Bites. I'm your host, Jeff Sherman, along with Dr. Eric Lopkin. And Dr. Lopkin, some weeks we might have to, kind of organize what we want to talk about. I don't think this is the case. I've been around the block. I've never seen anything like it. First of all, we're talking obviously about the debate that happened last night. That's Tuesday. Couple takeaways. I'm obviously interested from your perspective, but I want to kick things off by I think the biggest loser is Chris Wallace. I wouldn't let him monitor or oversee a high school debate at this point. I mean, he was not in control.
No, and he lost control very early on.
In the first 10 minutes.
We've been doing this podcast for about 2 years or so. We were on the radio for 10 years. You go back even further than that with the show. This was the first time I was ever actually disappointed that I had to do this. Because last night at 8:30, I was calm, I was relaxed, and then I had to turn on the debate. And within half an hour, I was aggravated beyond belief.
That is so funny that you said that because I had a similar reaction, and so did someone that I was speaking with, that we were checking in and out. And she had the same kind of reaction. And that was, for me, I couldn't get to sleep. Not that I was worried about it. It was just like aggravating. I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
I've never seen, I think politically, I think Trump, I think he missed a real opportunity. And I'll refer back to another friend of mine who said, and I think Dana Perino said the same thing. He didn't give Biden a chance to self-implode himself. But just give him enough time to talk.
He didn't give Biden the rope to hang himself.
No.
And especially early on, Trump came off like a petulant child. And he should have given Biden the chance to talk because in the first, I think, 3 questions, Biden started out with 2 lies and then he refused to answer questions. If Trump had laid back, he could have pushed that. But Trump came off looking like a blustering moron.
No question. I think it goes down to an issue. There's many issues, his own psychological makeup, we can go down the list. But I think one of the politically, it shows, and it happens all the time, the lack of leadership within his own cabinet. There's no Jim Baker. There's no one. His debate coach was Chris Christie, whatever. There's no one. He doesn't take direction. I mean, that's a strategy you and I, and we're not political experts, would tell him right off. Let him speak. Let him talk. I mean, it was just an obvious strategy.
And he played into the Democrats' hand because the Democrats all along have been making this a campaign about Trump's character. They've avoided all issues. Biden refused to answer certain questions on issues last night. They've been focusing on Trump's character, and Trump led with his chin last night.
I can't agree more. The real question, 2 questions is, okay, I guess Chris Wallace recovers, although I think his reputation is permanently damaged. Do you agree with that? And I hardly ever use the word permanent in America because most things can be resurrected. Let's just say there's going to be a long-term stain on his so-called stellar reputation. That was a horrible performance.
No, he completely lost control. And I think I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt because I think part of it was the format. It was not the usual debate format because of social distancing and COVID, and he was not ready for it.
You know, something you've said, something that caught my attention. I think he came in. It happens sometimes in life. You're a victim of your own praise and adulation. And I think he did not do the homework. He did not study for the exam.
No, he didn't. And this was a debate. I mean, it was absolutely horrific. Halfway through the debate, I was seriously considering going into the voting booth on election day and writing in Amy Klobuchar, because both of these guys gave the impression that they are each completely incapable of leading.
Agreed. And you know something? Shame on Trump, because you should learn. You've been president for almost 4 years. You've been always in the media. That was such an amateurish mistake. My real question is, I mean, we can go rehash this, ad nauseum, but the real question for you, Dr. Lopkin, is, does he recover? He is definitely behind in the polls before the debate. There's just a fact. You can debate, is he 3 points? I would say 5 points behind on average. I think that's a fair number. Does he recover from this? Can he?
He can recover if he gives a good performance in the next debate, and if there's a lot of talk now about a stimulus package. If they get that across, that will help him. But honestly, for the last, I would say 2 months or so, I've been giving him odds at, 60% victory. He scuttled that lead last night. I've got him now at 50-50.
I'd say at best 50-50. I was shocked.
Yep.
Biden did what he had to do. Get through it. He stumbled a couple times, but he didn't have a brain blowout, and he survived. He looked, which isn't saying much. He looked as good as Trump, so he passed.
Yeah,
he got a C+. That's all he needed to do. Pass the class.
I don't even know if he got a C+. I think they both got C-. It really bothered me right at the beginning when they were talking about the Supreme Court, how Joe Biden switched the topic to what the Supreme Court would do about the Affordable Care Act and what kind of impact that would have. And everything he said about the impact was an outright lie, and they didn't call him on it. He was either just making things up, or he has no idea how the Affordable Care Act works.
I think it's a combination of both. And I think I have to say, I think Chris Wallace was, I think he was letting Biden off very easy.
He let him off easy. He did actually challenge him, because there was one point in the debate where Biden was claiming that Trump said something, and Chris Wallace actually interrupted him and said, no, it was your Democratic comrades that had actually said it, not Trump. So he did try to hold Biden to the truth, but he lost control early on, and both candidates just went nuts.
I would agree. I think it was a total S show. And we'll see. I guess the next one is a VP debate.
I think so. I don't have the schedule in front of me.
But blowing the first debate, that's like losing the first couple games in the World Series. It's hard to come back from.
It is.
There was almost 100 million people watching it. It was a way to gain momentum, and he friggin' blew it.
Completely blew it. It's now anybody's race. And we'll see what happens. I think Biden's lies will energize Trump's base. Trump's behavior will energize Biden's base.
Yeah, but I also think he disappointed a lot of his base. I got, had conversations with people that were real Trumpers, and they were not happy with the performance. They still got to vote for him, yes, but they were very disappointed.
Oh, there's no question about that. There is nobody that should be happy about Trump's performance. There's also nobody that should be happy about Biden's performance. Both of these men were absolute embarrassments.
Embarrassments, I would agree. Any final thoughts, Dr. Lopkin?
After watching the debate last night, it's the first time I was actually scared for the future of this country. And it's not about the actions of either one of the candidates, it's the combined action of both of them. And the fact that if we don't bring this country together, we are doomed. And the fact of the matter is, what I got from last night's debate is that if Trump wins, the Democrats are not going to concede. And if Biden wins, the Republicans aren't going to concede.
That is a very good possibility. And I think my final thought would be that is absolutely true, Dr. Lopkin. But what's also really scary is that's the best we can do in America. That's very scary.
That's the problem. Is that's not the best we can do in America. We have better people who could be in these positions, but this is what the leadership of both parties have led us to, and they have let the American people down.
No question. Well said. And we'll be live on Friday at 4:00, and we'll be discussing. Chris Calandra is actually going to join us again, and unfortunately, I booked it before this disaster because I thought it'd be more of an interesting conversation, but I'm sure something will pop up as well. So thank you, Dr. Lopkin, and thank our listeners.
And see you Friday.
Take care.
You've been listening to Carnivore Bites, part of the Exvadio podcast network. You can catch us every week on carnivoreradio.com, exvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcast Store, Google Play, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever you find podcasts.